Hello friends, this is Senior Pastor Ben Pierce coming to you live from 301 Studios as we are looking at majoring in the minors. We're taking a look at the minor prophets. Now, if you're going to measure a minor prophet is by the amount of material that was written, today we're looking at the minorest of the minors. This is Obadiah. He wrote the shortest of the minor prophets. The name Obadiah was very common when the Bible was being written. There's about a dozen individuals having that name. 13 if you count the writer of Obadiah, different from one of those. So it's a lot of people were named Obadiah during that time of Israel and Judah. The name actually means the Lord's servant or worshiper of Yahweh. Kind of a cool name. Some have thought that this is the same Obadiah that was Ahab's steward in 2 Chronicles 17:7. I don't think it is because the timelines don't match up. But it'd be kind of neat if it was. We know nothing about him other than his name. His book is the shortest of the Old Testament. There's only 21 verses. The date is very, very difficult to say exactly when Obadiah was written. He doesn't sit down and say, oh, it's the March 3rd of this year. He doesn't do that. It's very difficult. So you have to begin looking at the material that is going on in the book itself. You see, the nation of Edom and Israel have a long history together. And it's not a good history. It's a history of hatred. And the sad thing is, the two nations, Edom and Israel, they started from two brothers. Edom, or Esau, started Edom, and Jacob started with Israel there. So the hostility began in an argument over the birthright, but really there's some other things that took place through that time as well. But during the time of Obadiah, it centered around trade routes. You see, the King's Highway ran all the way from Damascus to Egypt. Whoever controlled the highway controlled the flow of goods and became wealthy. This book is written at a time when Edom helped an enemy attack Jerusalem, and Edom took the opportunity to take over control of that part of the region. Edom should have been Judah's ally. Think about where they came from. Instead, they encouraged the Babylonians. Obadiah is written to show that God is going to judge Edom for what she has done. What's the purpose? The purpose of the book is to announce the destruction of Edom because of her pride and sin against Judah. Edom was an ancient people group that inhabited the land south of Judah and near the Dead Sea. The Edomites, also called the Edomians, descended from Esau, the twin brother of Jacob. They were of great historical importance as descendants of both Isaac and Abraham. The word Edom in Hebrew means red. It's a reference to Esau's craving for red stew, also believed to have had red hair as well. Despite their shared ancestry, the Edomites and the Israelites lived in almost perpetual conflict. Edom refused to allow the Israelites to pass through their territory en route to the Promised Land. That's Numbers 20, verses 14 through 21. They fought with King Solomon, 1 Kings 11, 14 through 25. They opposed King Jehoshaphat, 2 Chronicles 20, verse 22. They rebelled against King Jehoram in 2 Chronicles 21, 8. The kingdom had developed a government led by kings long before the monarchy arose in Israel. Genesis 36 lists the 8 Edomite kings up to that time. And so they've had a long line of political leaders, even before Israel lived in slavery in Egypt. The prominent city of Edom was Petra. You've seen these pictures of this. Now, this city was accessible only through a narrow canyon with huge mountain walls. Now, this is the thing that is featured in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. Have you ever seen that movie? In the 5th century BC, a people called the Nabateans defeated the Edomites and removed them from Petra. The Edomites were forced to move south of Israel in an area that would become known as Edomia. Now, in the New Testament, Herod the Great, who commanded the murder of all the boys that were 2 years old and under in Bethlehem, he was considered to be an Edomite or that from that region. The prophet also wants to comfort Judah by announcing Edom's destruction and Judah's restoration and deliverance in the day of the Lord. All right, so here we go. Obadiah is made up of two halves. The first half is a series of accusations against the leaders of Edom for their pride and self-exaltation. They say to themselves, we live in the heights at home with the stars. Who can bring us down? You see, it was that pride that, oh, we live in the rocks. We live in the mountains. No one can touch us. And they had that. So God says through Obadiah that Edom will be brought down from their heights and destroyed. That's 1:15. As they have done to Israel, so it will be done to them. Obadiah clearly predicts Edom's destruction. And the prophecy offers a list of specific reasons for God's impending judgment. They had a heart of pride. They were violent against Israel and many others. Their attitude towards Jerusalem's destruction, they were tickled to death when Jerusalem was destroyed. Their plundering and looting of Jerusalem, their mistreatment of Jerusalem's survivors, verse 14. In addition to those sins, Edom had been a long-time enemy of Israel. So they've been storing this up. When Edom acted against the refugees, they built that up. So God is going to judge them. God provided a list of 8 do nots, a list which Edom obviously ignored. Obadiah's prediction came true in the 5th century BC when Edom was removed from Petra. The Edomites would later disappear from history completely, marking the total destruction of one of Israel's enemies. In his dealings with Edom, God kept his promises to his people. Whoever curses you, I will curse. Genesis 12:3. Verse 15 begins the second section. Why all this sudden shift of focus from Edom to all nations? That's what's going to happen. Because this verse acts as a hinge pin. This is the linking of the first half of the book to the second, which Obadiah announces the day of the Lord, not only for Edom, but for all nations. Obadiah says that all nations who act like Edom will face God's justice. You're going to see that in the book of Nahum as well. And they too will fall from their prideful heights and come to ruin. The combination of the two sections shows us why Obadiah is so interested in this tiny southern neighbor of Israel in the first place. He sees Edom's pride and fall as an example, or really of how God will one day confront the pride among all the nations and bring about their fall as well. How do we apply this book? Number 1, pride deceives and leads to more sin. Number 2, sin follows a downward path. We see how Edom progressed in its sins against Judah. That is the same way sin progresses in our lives as well. When we become complacent, sin begins to creep in. Number 3, this is the best one. God will keep his word. Obadiah said that Edom's judgment would be complete and appropriate. They would get what they deserved, and that's exactly what they did. And number 4, God will punish sin. We are introduced to the day of the Lord. He sees what nations that are mistreating his people, and he will judge them accordingly. It shows us that God is in control. How about this one? God will protect his own. I love that. God is good, and he loves his children, and he will take care of us. These last two ideas, that God is in control and that God is good, are extremely important to us as we live our Christian life. What is the key verses? You want to look at verse 4. Though they soar like eagles, they're going to be coming down, God tells them. Verse 12, you should not look down on your brother, because that's exactly one of the reasons they're facing judgment, is they look down on their brother Judah. Verse 15 is that hinge pin verse. Enjoy reading the book of Obadiah, taking into account all the history that has taken place, and watch what God is going to do. Majoring into minors, I'll see you next time.